$5.3 billion. That is the reported program cost of a single aircraft that carries one passenger who actually matters, and it comes with an operating room, a hardened communications suite, and defensive systems most air forces don't have. Somewhere else this afternoon, a jet is leaving a quiet regional field with an empty seat on board that will sell for roughly what a business class fare to Europe costs. Same sky, same runways, same fuel. Two completely different universes. Between those two extremes sit 5 more tiers, and almost nobody outside the industry can tell you where one ends and the next begins. So today we're counting down 7 levels of private flight, starting at level 7, the doorway that an ordinary traveler could reach this weekend, and working our way down to level 1, where the aircraft stops belonging to a person at all. Let's get into it. Level 7 is the entry point, and it's the most misunderstood rung on the whole ladder. 2 things live here. The first is the empty leg. Jets almost never finish one trip where the next one starts, so operators are constantly repositioning aircraft with nobody on board, and rather than absorb that cost entirely, they sell those flights at a heavy discount. The trade-off is complete inflexibility. You fly their route on their day, and if the original client moves their booking, your flight disappears with it. The second option is semi-private, and the name most people know is JSX, which flies regional jets fitted with around 30 seats instead of the 50 they'd carry in airline service. You arrive at a private terminal minutes before departure, walk across the ramp, and never see a security line. There's no middle seat because there is no middle. What you don't get at level 7 is control. The aircraft was already going somewhere. You just arranged to be on it. Level 6 is where that changes completely. This is on-demand charter in a light jet, and the aircraft you'll meet most often are the Cessna Citation CJ3+, the Embraer Phenom 300, and the Honda Jet. 6 to 8 passengers, cruise speeds around 450 miles an hour, and range in the 1,500 to 2,000 nautical mile bracket. But the specifications aren't the story. The story is that the schedule now belongs to you. You pick the departure time, and if traffic delays you, the aircraft simply waits. More importantly, you pick the airport. The United States alone has thousands of fields that can take a light jet, which means landing 15 minutes from a rural plant instead of 2 hours from it. Rates typically run somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 per flight hour. That figure stops sounding outrageous the moment 4 colleagues compare it against 4 last-minute business class tickets, an extra hotel night, and a wasted day on each end of the trip. Level 5 is where private aviation stops feeling like a workaround and starts feeling genuinely civilized. Midsize and super midsize jets, the Cessna Citation Latitude, the Bombardier Challenger 350, the Embraer Praetor 600, 8 to 10 passengers, cabins you can stand up in, a proper lavatory with a door that closes, and range running from roughly 2,700 nautical miles at the low end to just over 4,000 at the top. The Praetor 600 will cross the Atlantic. The Latitude won't, but it costs meaningfully less to operate on the regional flying that many owners actually do. This is the tier where the cabin becomes usable space instead of endured space. You can hold a real conversation without raising your voice. You can spread paperwork across a table. A 3-city itinerary that eats 2 days on airlines, compresses into one long one, and you sleep at home. The Challenger 350 in particular has become the quiet consensus pick of the charter world, and a huge number of serious flyers land here and never feel any need to go further. Level 4 is heavy iron, and here the whole calculation shifts. Aircraft like the Bombardier Challenger 650, the Dassault Falcon 900LX, and the Embraer Legacy 650 carry 12 to 16 people across 4,000 nautical miles and more, with full galleys where a cabin attendant prepares real food, multiple cabin zones, and seats that lie genuinely flat. And there's an engineering detail here that matters far more than any leather option. These aircraft maintain a lower cabin altitude than an airliner does. The air inside is denser, your body works less to use it, and after 8 hours, that difference is something you physically feel when you stand up. Below this level, people fly privately to reclaim time. At this level, they're also buying the condition they arrive in. This is also roughly where fractional ownership starts beating charter on pure math, usually somewhere past 200 flight hours a year. Before we get into the top 3, where these aircraft stop resembling anything you've ever boarded, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Level 3 is ultra long range, and its defining quality is that distance stops being a planning problem at all. The Gulfstream G700, the Bombardier Global 7500, and the Dassault Falcon 8X Live here, with the first two capable of roughly 7,700 nautical miles on a single tank of fuel. That's New York to Tokyo. That's London to Singapore. Non-stop with no technical fuel stop in Anchorage, and no customs officer in a country you never intended to visit. List prices sit in the neighborhood of $80 million, and chartering one runs somewhere between $12,000 and $20,000 an hour. The G700 can push past Mach 9/10 when the schedule demands it, and the cabin divides into 4 or 5 separate rooms, including a bedroom with a real shower. This is the aircraft of the founder whose company sold for a number, with too many zeros to say comfortably out loud, and who now treats a 14-hour flight the way the rest of us treat a train ride. Level 2 is where a jet stops being a jet and becomes an address. Boeing Business. Jets and Airbus corporate jets are airliner airframes finished for one family or one company. The Airbus A CJ220, built on the A220, was designed around 6 defined living zones from the very beginning rather than improvised out of a second-hand commercial shell, and completed aircraft reportedly run in the region of $80 million and upward. Inside you'll find a genuine bedroom suite, a private office, a dining room that seats an actual dinner party, and a bathroom with a full shower. You will not find most of these owners on any published wealth ranking, and that is deliberate, royal households, industrial dynasties, and family holdings that have never issued a single public share sit at this level. 12 hours on a G700 is extremely comfortable. 12 hours on a BBJ is just being at home while the planet moves underneath you. And that brings us to level 1, which honestly belongs to a different conversation entirely. Air Force One is the benchmark. The next generation replacement, designated the VC-25B, and built on 747-8 airframes, carries a program cost widely reported at around $5.3 billion. Billion with a B. And none of that money is about the cabin. It's a medical facility, secure and hardened communications, defensive countermeasures, and the ability to operate as a command center in the air while everything on the ground is falling apart. The Sultan of Brunei's 747 has long been reported to feature gold-plated fittings, with the interior completion alone said to exceed $100 million. The Saudi royal fleet includes several wide bodies configured for state travel with full diplomatic infrastructure built in. These aircraft move with security teams, medical staff, communications specialists, and in the American case, an entire traveling press corps. The manifest reads less like a passenger list and more like a small company relocating for the day, so there's the full ladder. 7 levels, 1 sky, and 7 completely different answers to the question of what an airplane is actually for. The traveler grabbing a discounted empty leg and the head of state at 45,000 feet are doing the same fundamental thing. They're both converting money into hours. One of them is buying back an afternoon. The other is buying back an entire way of moving through the world. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 7 levels genuinely surprised you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for spending your time with us today. And until next time, fly well.